We are here at the Heavy Music Awards 2019 with the band Delaire, Delaire. Not the easiest band name to say. Bit of a tongue twister, isn't it?
It's a mouthful.
Tell us about that name first of all. What does it all mean?
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of it's a Lemony Snicket reference actually, who's like a huge influence on me as a young reader and writer. So like it's kind of about duality. So you've got the Baudelaire orphans, that are the protagonists, and then you have the only other constant in the books, which is Count Olaf the liar. So that's what it is, about human duality.
Well, listen, it's early on in the night. I'm going to give you the award for the most intellectual conversation I have had on the red carpet so far. But tell us about the sound of the band then. What bands would you reference?
Reference-wise, like, I mean, there's loads of like, kind of like, of the American and Canadian like post-hardcore and all that kind of thing, going all the way to like Alexis on Fire, which I'm sure a lot of people would say, to a lot of like the East Coast like hardcore and like cool stuff like Touche Amore and Pianos Come the Teeth. But I mean, like, it goes like way further back to the bands that we listened to like as kids and when we were younger. I mean, like, you particularly like take a lot of like lyric reference or poetic reference, I suppose, from some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a big fan of words. I'm a big so like
as good as a lyricist.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so like a huge kind of influences on me when I was growing up is like one of La Dispute's most kind of like prominent influences, E.E. Cummings. So like the thing that kind of like switched me on to E.E. Cummings was Somewhere at the Bottom of the River by La Dispute. Starts with a song called Such Small Hands and finishes with Nobody Not Even the Rain, and that's a line from Somewhere I've Never Travelled Gladly Beyond by E.E. Cummings, which is Nobody Not Even the Rain Has Such Small Hands. So that kind of like turned me onto this kind of like onto his work, and that's been a huge influence on me ever since. But I mean, writers like and kind of like prominent figures in the kind of like literary world, like, you know, Audre Lorde, or you think about Maggie Nelson, you think about all these people that are kind of like taking something and really turning it on its head and framing it in a way that's sort of like really beautiful to read, but really kind of like difficult at the same time. You know, presenting you something that you've kind of like felt before in a way that you've never kind of felt it, or been kind of like, it's never been proposed that way to you before. I just think it's just like amazing. So that's a lot of like the kind of like lyricism is central to that.
Given what you've just said and how important the lyrics are to the band, what do you think, if fans just want to come along and get off on the music and, they don't really care about the lyrics, or does that bother you? Because you're obviously quite passionate about it, aren't you?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I can bop. Like, I will bop till the end of the earth. And like, I appreciate that, but that's just not the style of music that we want to create, That's like, I mean, we kind of like approach this at the beginning in a very kind of like linear fashion, not really kind of like focusing too much on repetitive choruses and stuff like that, and trying to kind of like maybe like micro hooks that kind of like weave in and out of the song.
I think we always wanted the song structure to be more of a story though, and more like a progression rather than something that's a bit more like predictable. And it's not like we're trying to like subvert expectations and like write something that's really complicated, but we just want to write something that like has a natural like flow to it and like tells a tale in the way that it's written.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. Enjoy yourselves here at the Heavy Music Awards.
It's gonna be a good time.
And just tell our viewers when they can catch you guys on the road next.
September. We're going on tour with a band called My Only. They're really good friends of ours and a really great band. We're playing. Where are we playing with those guys?
We're playing in Glasgow, and we're playing some other places. And I'll just get in the van, man.
Check the socials for the details. Listen, guys, enjoy yourself here at the Heavy Music Awards 2019.
Thank you very much. For a pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers.